What's going on, traders? Welcome to this week's Forex forecast. If this is your first time to my channel and you want to try to grow your trading account and learn more about supply and demand, start now by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. Alright, we're going to look at the US dollar first. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody for 500 subscribers. Really appreciate that, and I really appreciate all of the support. Getting right into it though, we are coming up to this monthly area of demand that I've been talking about for quite a long time. I'm not sure if this demand level is going to hold. This downward momentum wasn't really the greatest, so I'm not putting too much weight on this demand zone. Ultimately, this is the area that I would personally rather be looking for longs in the US dollar down in here. So I actually think that this is going to be somewhat of a trap setup. And the reason I like this zone is because this is a fresh and original zone, where this zone right here was kind of a reaction off of this zone, even though it didn't fully touch it. But that's something to keep in mind. Looking at the weekly time frame too, we are in this weekly area of demand now, but momentum really hasn't stopped. On the daily time frame here, we are coming up to this zone right here that I had drawn. This is a original zone as well, which is why I think we're seeing a reaction off of it. And if you look in the smaller time frames, since the charts turn around on inside out, this is a 1 hour momentum shift that I've seen take place. We had a trend line down, we had a break of the trend line. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of here is, we had the one candle close right here outside of the trend line, but it immediately shot right back down and started reacting off of the trend line again. So this break, I'm not a huge fan of, but it did. There was 3 candle closes above the trend line, so it's not super bad. It's not enough evidence for me to start going long on the dollar. But since we are starting to see reaction, I'm not really looking to short the dollar either. I was long in the British pound, and I got stopped out for a 2.5 to 1. So I was happy with that, but I wasn't eager to add on based on the fact that we are coming to this, these areas of demand. Ultimately, to look to go short, I don't see much either as far as the 4 hour goes either. But to go short, I would have to probably see this demand removed to look for shorts again. But like I said, we're contacting these bigger areas on the chart, so it's really going to have to show me evidence that price is moving down. Ultimately, I would like this demand to be removed in the monthly, and if this weekly area is removed on my top right screen, I'd be pretty eager to go short. And then my ultimate targets again would be down here at the 87 area on the monthly time frame. All right, looking at the euro, and as you can see on the COT reports here, they actually got rid of 3,800 long positions and added 10,000 short positions. And if they would have just gotten rid of the longs and didn't really add that many short positions, I would say that what we could possibly see on the monthly time frame here is some consolidation and a break. But since they added so many shorts, to me, what that's showing me is that they are probably starting to accumulate a short position for maybe a rally down to here, or even better, down to the 1.4 area on the monthly time frame. And as you can see on the weekly chart, there's a weekly supply zone here that looks similar to the supply zone on the US dollar index. As far as longs go, I'm not super eager to get in long based on the fact that we are coming up to this monthly time frame. But we'll look on the 4 hour here on the euro. There was a setup here, but that was down here, guys, and we weren't at the monthly area of supply yet. So even this daily doesn't look too bad to maybe get a long position. Maybe look for a 1 hour a 1 hour momentum shift, something like this, where price is coming down into here, it's trending, boom, buy, boom, something like that, maybe on a 1 hour. But it's a little risky based on the fact that we are at this weekly area of supply that's not even tested at all. And basically what I'm going to be looking for on the euro, because I don't trade the dollar index, is basically something like this to break this monthly or this weekly supply that's in that monthly. And as soon as that weekly is broken, that's a pretty good sign to me that price is going to start to continue to go up and break that monthly demand or supply rather. And if it does do that, then on the daily, what I'm going to be looking for is, you know, say it shoots up, breaks that weekly supply, whatever, comes back down, I'd probably look to get long in this area on a 1 hour momentum shift. That's what I would ultimately prefer to happen in order for me to get long on the euro. All right, looking at the Aussie dollar, we had broken this monthly area of supply that you see right here, and we're headed to this area of supply at, you know, the 77 area. I'm not putting too much weight on this area. I would ultimately like the best supply zone will be up here in the monthly, but we're very far away from that. And as you can see on the COT reports, they actually got rid of the equivalent amount of longs and shorts, 4,800 longs and 5,600 shorts, pretty much the same. So it's pretty unclear what they're doing, but ultimately it all revolves around the US dollar, right? So it's kind of a tricky one to trade right now based on, you know, the question of what's going to happen in the US dollar. And on the 4 hour, there was actually, I had all these zones. There was one here that would have been a 3-to-1, one here that's playing out. As far as the 1 hour goes, there was this one here that I probably wouldn't have taken that. But that was another 3-to-1 right there. So there's been some setups, but, you know, it's kind of looking like the euro. As far as daily supply goes, there's not much up here that I have drawn out. Maybe we'll have to look again. So, you know, you could be going long right now, but like I said, it all revolves around the US dollar, and it's kind of, I want to wait to see what the US dollar does before I trade any of these pairs and look for any setups on any of the smaller time frames. So this week is basically going to be waiting to see how that DXY 1 hour momentum shift plays out, to see if we're going to make higher highs, to see it push higher, or if we're going to be making new lows to go to that monthly area of demand on the dollar. All right, looking at the British pound, we are contacting this monthly area of this monthly downward trend line. So that's something to be cautious about. I actually took a trade on the 1 hour here that I talked about in the live streams. It was a very nice, it was a 3-to-1, but I only made out with 2.5-to-1 because I let my other position ride. And as you can see, we had a nice reaction off of this 1 hour zone again. So I actually could have kept my stop loss at about break even, and maybe this will keep going up here. But, you know, as far as the COT reports go, on the pound, they did get rid of 4,000 longs and they got rid of 2,000 shorts. So their long percentage still remains a little bit higher, but it's kind of neutral right now. It's kind of a tough call, but ultimately, like I said, it all revolves around the US dollar. But, you know, as far as the daily time frame goes, there's quite a bit of profit margin left up here for it to go, which is why I'm kind of bummed out that I got stopped out at a break even for my second position on here, because I was kind of hoping I could ride it up to, you know, 1.38 area that you see on this daily time frame. But, you know, it is what it is. Everything's trending right now as far as all my time frames go. The 4 hour right now is kind of testing this trend line, and actually this trend line was broken, so we could actually draw a supply zone right here as far as the 4 hour goes. So for me to get in long on this, it's all going to revolve around the US dollar, but let's just say it didn't. I would have to see something like this, have that key zone removed, and then maybe a demand zone here to start to rally up to the highs. Looking at the USDJPY COT reports, their short exposure dropped 5% actually, with the adage of basically 6,000 longs, and they actually added some shorts as well. But it's starting to look like this one might be headed the other way, especially looking at the dollar. And this is the importance of journaling right here. I had this as a flip zone, which in my journal I wrote that that's pretty low odds, so I didn't take that. I mean, and part of it was where the dollar was at on the higher time frames, but I drew that out. I'm like, I bet you that zone will not hold, and it didn't even hold at all. But we have a nice 4 hour demand zone right here. I think the 1 hour is looking pretty messy. The 1 hour, there was a momentum shift. We had this trend line break right here. Nice 1 hour demand created right there. Another demand created right there. Had a reaction off of it. Now we have a supply zone that's pretty significant. Nice reaction off of that. I'm definitely not looking to get long at all here yet. Since all the time frames are pretty much trending down. Like I said, the best thing to do would be look for a daily momentum shift, but it's not really looking like we're gonna get it. According to the daily 4-hour, 1-hour sequence, technically shorts are somewhat still allowed, even though because in the daily there's not much as far as demand goes down here. It's kind of looking like the opposite of the pound, but like I said, we're gonna have to track the dollar, see what momentum shifts we get on that. And yeah, but I wouldn't have taken any of these 1 hours here because of where the US dollars is at. This zone right here could end up working. We'll have to see. But ultimately, we're going to have to get a nice 4-hour. For me to even start to consider to go long, what I'm going to have to see on the 4-hour is similar to what I've been showing you guys, is something like this. Break that. But then the problem is this 4-hour downward trend line is still in play. So, your target would have to be maybe at this trend line. So, looking at the USDCAD and the COT reports, they added 5,000 shorts, which has decreased their long exposure from 62% to 58%, as we've seen this pretty strong rally now. And on the daily time frame, we are coming up to this trend line that's testing. So, maybe what I'm thinking is that since the retail traders have been so bullish on the US dollar, maybe they're going to start getting bearish and maybe take some shorts at that trend line, which could be the ultimate trap for them. And on the 4-hour, as you can see, we had a little bit of a momentum shift here. Pretty strong momentum shift. There was a trend line break, a zone removal, but ultimately, for me to go long on this pair, I'm going to have to look at what the dollar does. But if something happens like this and it pushes up higher, breaks this key supply zone here in the 4-hour, that would have been a nice 3-to-1. This might possibly be a signal for me. And it's not in a daily area of demand, but these momentum shifts really work out well. And to me, I would almost bet against this trend line, that this trend line is not going to hold. And the idea would be that I would be like, my final target would be up here in this daily supply. I'd probably start to take my final profits at like 2.9. So, if you look in the 4 hours, something like this does happen, right? And then you place a trade here. Like I like this area quite a bit, actually. So this would be kind of the idea. So what did I say? It was the 2.9 area, right? 29. Okay. So you get out at your 3-to-1, but the 2.9, your final take profit would be somewhere up here. That's a 4-to-1, 5-to-1 possibly, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for on the USD-CAD. But like I said, it's all going to revolve around the US dollar. Hopefully the US dollar gives us that momentum shift that we need. But as far as the USD-CAD goes, there's a pretty clear momentum shift here that's taking place. And as far as the 1 hour goes, not seeing much take place here. So it's kind of a difficult 4-hour or 1 hour trade to take. But ultimately, that 4-hour might give us the setup that we need to go long. But ultimately, we are going to have to track the US dollar to see what that is doing. All right, looking at the USD Swiss, their short exposure has decreased with the adage of longs in the past 2 weeks. They added about 2,600 longs in the past 2 weeks and got rid of like 3,500 shorts. So, their short percentage has gone from 73% to 69%. So all signs are kind of pointing to the dollar might start to rally here. And as you can see, we're coming up to this daily area of demand. So to start to keep shorting the USD Swiss is a little risky right now. There was a setup right here that I did not take. You actually would have been stopped out of that one. Nice little emotional wick right here, which is why I did not delete the zone just yet. Looking at the 1 hour, we are coming up to this 1 hour demand level that I kind of expect to not hold. This wasn't a significant momentum shift for me. This 1 hour trend line down has not been fully broken yet. But, looking at the 4 hour, there's not a clear momentum. The momentum is clearly still down. So even though the dollar might be starting to get a momentum shift for this pair, I could see it happening a little bit later. So we'll have to track the US dollar index to see what happens, and then maybe maybe, you know, there will be a 1 hour clean setup here, but, you know, since the weekly's down, daily's down, the monthly's down, for me to really be comfortable going long, I'd have to see a pretty strong rally on the daily. And then even on the daily, there's not much going on here on the daily. Ultimately, there is something right here that I see, and the reason I have this drawn is because these lines you see here is the monthly area of demand. So that's a pretty key zone. So in reality, what I'd like to see on this to really be super bullish on USD Swiss would be a break of that buy zone. Boom. That's what I would like to see. But obviously on the smaller time frames, we're going to start seeing momentum shifts start to take place. There hasn't really been one. This has been the best possible one so far, but I think this zone's going to break. But we're going to be looking at the dollar to see what it does. All right, looking at gold, we are contacting this monthly area of demand. We've seen a very strong reaction off of this. And basically everything I talked about in my gold video, my XAUUSD video, is coming true. So go check that out. I made a whole video about gold, and I'm going to break it down here again. So we're reacting off of this monthly area of demand. There's weekly selling right here. Don't really want to call this a great supply zone, even though it did remove demand. So what I talked about is I want to see this weekly removed. And what I also talked about on the daily was that, so this whole area is the weekly. We had this daily area of supply, which we've seen a nice reaction off of it. And actually one of the guys in the Discord group got a nice short on I think it was a 1 hour momentum shift out of this. So good on him. And we've actually created an upward trend line here. As you can see, this daily zone is removed. So I'm fully expecting this daily zone, or sorry, this whole weekly to break, and would actually cause a daily momentum shift here. So basically what I'm looking for, and I don't trade the gold, I actually buy the GDX. It's just better for me. I would, you know, if price pushes up and breaks this downward trend line and this weekly area of supply, that's very bullish for me, especially considering, you know, we're coming off of this monthly area of demand, the higher time frames. And, you know, as far as the 4 hour goes, that's not a bad area right here to look for longs, but I don't have all my 4 hour zones marked up, so I don't really want to say anything as far as the smaller time frames go on gold. Oh, and looking at the call reports, they actually added longs again. 2,300 longs they added, which isn't much compared to their overall size, but it's still pretty bullish, especially considering they added 13,000 longs the week before, and they continue to add. So I am expecting higher moves on gold. All right, looking at oil, last but not least, we are in this whole big area of monthly selling, but, you know, to me, since this weekly momentum's up, it broke this area of supply. Pretty bullish for me. If we can get a couple more candles up here, you know, we would have a nice weekly area of demand right here. As far as the smaller time frames go, I mean, it might be the biggest time frame for you. On the daily, we did break this daily area of supply, and we are about to break this one as well, in my opinion. And on the 4 hour, there's so many setups that I just didn't take. I'm so mad at myself. Look at that. Perfect setup. Look at that. Like, that's like a 7-to-1, 8-to-1, I think. And there was another one right here. Possibly another one right here. I'm probably going to be mad at myself if I don't take it, but I could see it not working out. A little risky for me. I don't mind that 4 hour area, but I'm going to have to see this daily broken. If that daily does get broken, this 4 hour to me is looking pretty decent. So I might consider that a trade. I don't really look down on the 1 hour on the oil. And then looking at the call reports, they did get rid of 6,000 longs and 5,000 shorts as well. But it actually increased their exposure from 82% long to 18% short. Ultimately, I've talked about it. I think a good target would be $60 for oil. So I might look to get long in this 4 hour, but I'm going to have to probably see this daily zone removed first. Alright everyone, thanks again for watching this week's Forex forecast. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well if you don't mind. I really appreciate all the support. Let me know in the comments down below what pairs you're looking at this week, and maybe we can get in touch and you can send me a chart and let me know what you're looking at. I always like looking at charts. So with that being said, let's have a great trading week and let's make some money. Cheers.